student nurse Louis Jean alongside my co-host, student nurse Sans and student nurse Walk. Welcome to another episode of The Nurse's Voice, where we as nursing students address and discuss issues brought to us by nursing students nationwide. Today, we are discussing ethical issues, but more specifically, ethical dilemmas in the workplace. There are many terms used to describe moral issues faced by nurses, including moral uncertainty, moral conflict, moral distress, moral outrage, and ethical dilemma. In today's show, we will discuss and give strategies on how to use decision making modules to help guide with decision making.
Good morning. I'm student nurse Science, and you may ask, what is an ethical dilemma? Well, it can be defined as a conflict between two alternatives, where no matter what a person does, some ethical principle will be compromised. In the medical field, we are often faced with many ethical dilemmas. Ethical dilemmas may arise for patients, family members, medical staff, and physicians alike. Some of these issues surrounding problems for which ethics consultation may be requested include surrogate decision-making, refusal of treatment, DNRs, which are do not resuscitate orders, or foregoing life-sustaining treatments. An example of an ethical dilemma is, say for instance, you're a doctor and some on your team may think that it's time to withdraw life support and let nature take its course. Yet, the dying patient's family insists that you do everything possible to keep this patient alive. So now you're unclear how to solve this problem, and you worry that doing everything like the family requests might cause the patient pain and discomfort without offering any benefit. You see, it's basically a battle between what is right and your own belief of what you deem moral. Just like the example, most times seeing your way through can be difficult.
Good morning, I'm student nurse Walks, and welcome to the show once again. So, my thoughts on ethical dilemmas, I could think back to when I was in my first year of nursing school and I was fresh into the wards doing my practicums and such. I would see some things that I would think are not ethical. Like some of the things the nurses would do are the TCNs, the nurses that wear pink, or any staff, like stuff you would see around, like they would be not professional at all. For one, I actually saw a nurse hitting hitting a patient, and I was so confused. I didn't know what to do. And I think that many students, when we are in the clinical area, we see these things. Some people tend to actually say they are going to report it. Some people actually pick up these traits and start doing it when they become a nurse. Some people just stay quiet and don't say anything at all, like me, because I don't know I never know if it's my place. And maybe now I think I may say something about it, but I would still be scared to speak up about it. But any callers, you can call in and give your experience about how you face these ethical dilemmas, or do you need any help about these ethical dilemmas that we have?
Good morning, listeners. It's Student Nurse Walks here. It looks like we've got a caller.
Hello, I'm calling because I need your help. My best friend and I have always had dreams of going to nursing school, and since we were in middle school, we graduated and got hired at the same hospital. After working together for 2 years within the same hospital, we became very close, and she relied on me and I relied on her. Her mother got very sick, and being the only child, Taking care of her mother got expensive. So she started to steal medications that were left over from patients that were previously discharged. But one day, she took it too far and she stole medication from the dangerous drug cupboard. When we signed over to the night shift, we made no mention of it. But the next morning, we were called into the sister's office and questioned about the drugs. I did not want to be the one that told on her because she's my best friend and I didn't want to cause her job. I really need your help. What should I do?
Thank you for calling. Looking at the situation, she's literally stuck between a rock and a hard place. I, for one, think that you should inform the nurse that your friend is stealing the drugs. There are so many things she's doing wrong legally and ethically as a nurse.
I agree. I know the state of PMH and the nurses go ward to ward looking for medications for their patients because of the shortages. Like Walks mentioned, stealing is legally and ethically wrong. But if your family member is sick, it might be morally justified.
Not only that, but the drugs from the dangerous drug cupboard, what is she even doing with those drugs?
Trying to lose her license for sure.
She is trying to go to jail as well, and I'm sure it's not worth it.
I think it's best you tell the sister. Could you imagine there's a patient that needs those medication and a nurse goes looking to get it, thinking it's available in the cupboard, and it's not there?
I know that's your best friend, but think of the amount of patients that could have benefited from that medication as well.
Yes. But if that's really your best friend, you should be able to confront her with any reasonable advice. Firstly, look at the ethical side of it. According to Huston and Marquez, ethics is concerned with doing the right thing, although it's not always clear what that is. I know that you're not sure what the right thing is to do, but first you should pull your friend on the side and show her her flaws.
Well, caller, I understand you do not want to lose your best friend, but let's look at ethical principles. And maybe you can be guided by that to make a decision. Walk, which principle comes to mind when you think about her situation?
Veracity?
Veracity? You mean like telling the truth?
Yes, this principle is used to explain how people feel about the need to tell the truth.
Okay, so she tells the truth about her best friend, and this leads to what? Her losing her friend and her friend possibly losing her job?
Maybe there's another way she can go about doing this. What about a decision-making model?
That sounds good, Sans. What about the moral decision-making model?
Yes, and the acronym for moral would be M, massage the dilemma. Collect your information about the ethical problem. O, outline options. Identify alternatives and analyze the causes and sequences of each.
R, review criteria and resolve. Weigh the options against the values of those involved in the decision. A, affirm position and act. Develop the implementation strategy.
L, look back. Evaluate the decision making. This is probably the best way to go about this situation. Follow the module and also be mindful from an ethical standpoint.
Yes, caller. In a situation as such, a moral model would allow you to make the best possible decision. It allows you to weigh your options and review the end result before making this decision. In doing so, you may be able to find solution to the problem.
Given that your situation has already gotten to higher authority, you must find the balance between your moral beliefs, what you know is right, and what is ethical. You must choose whether to be honest and let your sister know that it's your best friends that took the missing drugs, to whether you are going to cover for her.
All you can do is hope that the appropriate authorities would be lenient with her, given the circumstance. We could suggest that your best friend have her mom sign up for the National Insurance Drug Plan to be able to have medication provided free of charge. With these tips, we hope they were helpful and we thank you for watching. Do join us again for another episode of The Nurse's Voice next week.